Hello, hello. Welcome to Awoken TV. Say hello as you're hopping in. Let me know where you're tuning in from. I love to welcome people to this beautiful community, this beautiful space to connect. If you guys haven't been to Awoken TV before, definitely check it out over at www.awoken.tv, or you can go on the App Store and you can find Awoken TV on the App Store too. So either one works. And for those of you who are watching on another page, like Emerge Healing and Wellness, hi Layla, good to see you, honey. Who are watching on Emerge Healing and Wellness or from another group, definitely make sure to jump over to Awoken because then I'm going to see your comments live. I won't be able to see your comments live if you're on another page, okay? So if you are new to me, my name is Laura Mazzotta. I'm an Akashic healer and teacher. I've also been a therapist here in New York for almost 20 years. And I recently transitioned over from traditional therapy to spiritual healing and teaching because I truly believe that this is the deepest, most efficient, most effective way to heal the fastest. And so I am on a mission to share this with as many people as will receive this information to be able to heal themselves. I have seen light switch changes with myself, with my loved ones, with my clients, and I want to help everyone realize that this is available within all of us, right? I also have a very unique perspective on what goes on in the human mind, in the human brain, in our human experience. Having been a therapist for almost 20 years, going through my own medical issues over the past 5, and being able to really allow insight from the Akashic Records to inform how we do this human life thing, right? So thank you so much for joining me. Today we're going to be talking about what it's like to live life in a pressure cooker. Like, how can we rise above that? How can we move beyond that? How can we heal from that, right? Because there's a lot of lessons that come from living life in a pressure cooker. And this can look a lot of different ways, right? So it can look like growing up in childhood and having a dysfunctional family. It can look like living in a chronically abusive relationship, either verbally, emotionally, or physically abusive. It can look like just feeling tension between the people that live in your household or feeling stuck in some way in your situation, okay? And I think what's really important here is to identify, hi, Kelly, good to see you, honey. It's really important to identify like that we are learning lessons from living life in a pressure cooker from our perspective, okay? We feel like it's a pressure cooker. We feel like we're interpreting it as if something is wrong, right? Something is off, something is not right. And so it's the Akash, they brought this through the other night actually in my journaling. And they were talking about how, one of the most powerful mantras that I have used and learned and appreciated on my healing journey has been the question that I ask on a regular basis, is this even mine to carry, right? So if I'm feeling upset about something, especially chronically upset about something, or a symptom, emotional or physical, keeps coming into my field, I'm going to ask, is this even mine to carry? Like, is this something that I've absorbed from somebody else? Is this something that I've carried on from my loved ones or from my ancestors or from past lives? Like, is this really meant for me in this moment? If I'm meant to carry it, fine. But if I'm not meant to carry it, how can I release it? So it was interesting because this was coming up in this conversation I was having with the Akash the other night. And what came through was, I thought, very, very powerful and just like a different way of looking at things in a different perspective, which is when we think about what we've been through, a lot of times we err on the side of blaming the people that harmed us, the people that did us, quote unquote, wrong, right? And the situations we've been in that were not seemingly in our highest good, okay? And we put a lot of responsibility on these other people or on these situations or this environment that we've grown up in, right? And I'm going to talk about that environment in a minute because there's definitely a lot of impact, especially to our physical bodies, from growing up chronically or having a long-lived experience in a pressure cooker, which simply means that you're feeling the pressure and the pressure is building and you feel like it's going to explode at some point, right? So anyway, so I was talking to the Akash about this, and what they said was, listen, when you blame all of these people and situations in your past, not only are you disempowering yourself because you're saying that this happened to you, that somebody did something to you, and that your energy was not a part of that, as we take responsibility for the fact that even our simple presence is impacting the situation, right? When we do that, we actually have more control as to how it goes. Okay, and that's something that's hard to understand and grasp unless you're actually doing it, right? Unless you're actually experiencing it. But what they're saying is, when you blame past situations or past experiences or past people in your life or even organizations, not only are you disempowering yourself, but what you're not asking is this even theirs to carry? Right? So I thought that was a really, really powerful perspective to come from, which was like, I'm actually putting this on them. Maybe it's not theirs to carry anymore, right? Like maybe they have resolved that. Maybe they have healed around that. Maybe they have made amends around that in one way or another and moved on. They've learned their lessons from that and they've taken them moving forward with them. And if they haven't, they haven't. But you get to ask, is this even theirs to carry anymore? Because it's very, very possible that this event, no matter how traumatic, showed up in your life because you needed to learn a certain lesson to be able to move forward and be an even more phenomenal version of yourself, where you're advocating for a lot of people who are struggling, or you're advocating for people or in service of people who need additional help, who need additional support. And you needed that experience in order to kind of say, whew, I need to be so passionate. I'm so passionate about this now. I don't want this to happen to anybody else. And that this happened to you because you are here as a service provider to help the collective grow, to help the collective heal, to help the collective expand. Okay? So that's one perspective that they brought forward. The other thing I want to talk about is just this process of living in a pressure cooker, right? You feel like you're always on. You feel like you're always kind of looking over your shoulder, right? Like, what's going to happen next? You develop this hypervigilance, which is a very common symptom in PTSD, where you're kind of always jumpy on the edge of your seat, waiting for the other shoe to drop, waiting for something to happen, right? That's a trauma response. And that's held within our nervous system. Any trauma that we've experienced gets encoded within our cells, and it gets encoded with not only the memory of the event, but it also gets encoded with the emotion that came along with it. So it's important for us to nourish our nervous system, to calm our nervous system, to attend to it, and to nurture it, right? To hold safe space for it, because it's not feeling safe. Because over a time, what they call that complex PTSD or chronic trauma, right? Where it's like trauma upon trauma upon trauma upon trauma. It could be the same trauma, but it's happening in succession, or it's happening consistently over a period of time. And when this happens, it literally carves a very deep path within our neurological system, right? And so it's not as simple as, oh, I'm just going to tap my way out of it, or oh, I'm just going to go to therapy and move on, right? It's just not that simple, okay? When it's chronic like that, it gets literally ingrained into our physical being. And it's at that point that we can say, all right, I get to carve a new path. I get to treat my nervous system as if it was just born and needs the level of safety and nurturing and belonging and love. Hi, Joy. So good to see you, honey. Happy Friday. Right? It needs all of those things. So when you start to have this awareness and you wake up and realize, oh my goodness, right, this is a pathway that has been carved into my system, but that I was not born with, right? What is the level of nurturing that you desired when you were born? It's all about connection. It's all about physical touch. It's all about emotional connection, nourishment, right? How can you best nourish your being right now? Whether that's your physical body, whether that's your heart space, whether that's your energy. How can you best nourish yourself right now? Because the more that you consistently nourish yourself, you're providing that foundation for being resilient, for being able to handle anything that comes your way, right? and to be able to look back and rewrite your story, to understand, okay, so for instance, all right, let me give you an example. So I got sepsis 5 years ago, right? So for the longest time, I was trying to figure out what my lesson was, right? There's a lot of lessons in it. Don't get me wrong. But this is the interesting thing. The lessons are not just for us. Like, it's not just about us. And that's what happens, like, when we get into this blame, like, oh, I'm blaming this person for doing this to me or doing that to me. Well, guess what? Like, the lesson wasn't just for you. It's not just about you. The lesson's also for the other person. The lesson, I think this lesson with sepsis was also for my husband. The lesson was also for my family. The lesson was also for the people who are close to me. It's also for my clients who may have been overly dependent on me at the time. Some of them were. Because at the time I was just doing traditional therapy. So it's a message not just for you. And that's what I want you to realize, is that when these pressure cooker situations come up, it's not just about how do I extract the lesson for myself, but looking from a higher perspective, being able to take that bird's eye view and looking at it through the eyes of God and being able to say, what is the general purpose of this experience? How does it serve in general for the collective? Right? Almost like we are just pieces of the game, pieces of the puzzle, right? That we get to move around and put into action all of the little magic dust that's being spread by God, by the universe, to create what it ultimately would like in order for this planet to thrive in its highest good. Okay, so let me know if you have any questions about that. Okay. So funny. I just got this text that came in from the holistic psychologist. I'm going to share it with you. Trauma occurs when you're helpless to choose. Healing occurs when you consciously find moments of choice each day. So isn't that interesting? Just as we're talking about this, there are no coincidences, right? Trauma occurs when you're helpless to choose. Healing occurs when you consciously find moments of choice each day. So that's the thing. It's like you feel like when you're in this situation, this pressure cooker, you feel like you have no role in it, like you have no say. And what I want you to realize is, like, you always do. Energy is always moving. Your physical body's always moving. The environment's always moving. Your breath is always moving. Everything's always moving. Your thoughts, right? And so you have the choice each and every day to make a decision about what this previous experience means to you. It doesn't have to mean the same thing that it meant 20 years ago. It doesn't have to mean the same thing that it means tomorrow. You get to decide what it means to you. You get to decide whether it motivates you, whether it activates you. But what I do want you to realize is that your energetic presence in somebody else's field impacts whatever you experience. Remember, no matter what you've been through, your soul chose this human body, these interactions, these situations, these lessons, these experiences, to be able to move forward in your life. So don't dismiss your soul's guidance. Don't dismiss your soul's choice. Your soul's smarter than you are. Okay? We are limited as human beings, yet limitless. We are both at the same time. We can't necessarily just jump up and start flying, right? But we have the opportunity to tap into limitless potential and opportunity for ourselves. And that means shifting and changing our stories and where we are and who we're interacting with. So this responsibility that we have, that we're taking on by being in somebody else's field. I've had experiences in my life that are extremely traumatic. And I now recognize, after doing the work, that just my presence, my energetic presence with that other person or with that situation, you know, here's my energy field, here's your energy field. You guys can see the beautiful manicure that my 5-year-old gave me that's chipping off. But they interact with each other and they share in the waves, right? The waves mix together and the energy mixes together. So there's literally no way that my presence there is not impacting what's unfolding, because my energy is interacting with the energy of the situation or the energy of the person that I'm engaging with, right? So I take responsibility for the fact that my energy may have activated a response in this other person or in this situation that might otherwise not have occurred if I was not present there. Kind of like the butterfly effect, right? So you're simply saying, like, and this is where the Ho'oponopono prayer comes in, because this is that ancient Hawaiian prayer for forgiveness, where you're saying, like, thank you for offering me this opportunity to learn this lesson. Please forgive me for any harm that I have caused you, or any, I guess, any discomfort that I have caused by being present in this moment. I'm sorry. That wasn't my intention. I'm simply existing, right? And I love you for being willing to be part of this experience with me so that I can learn more lessons and move forward and grow and be a better version of myself. And when you implement this structure and this strategy and this approach and this compassion to this situation, you're able to release a lot of the charge around it emotionally. You're able to realize that, yeah, maybe you only contributed 1% to this situation, but you were still a part of it. And there's still a reason that your soul chose you to show up to that. Okay? Did I say hi to you yet, Karina? Hi, Karina. Thank you, Cassidy, for sharing the Ho'oponopono prayer so people can check it out. There's also a book called, by Mabel Katz. And I don't remember the name of it, but it's a Ho'oponopono book by Mabel Katz. It wasn't my favorite book, to be honest with you, but it simplifies the Ho'oponopono prayer and explains it a little bit more deeply. So that's just, it's helpful to read about, because there's actually a very, very cool lineage behind it from Hawaiian communities. So it's just a beautiful representation of human beings and our ability to be able to come out of our minds and our space of competition and comparison and be able to just love on people and to collaborate and to do this life together, right? So anyway, I want everybody to just close your eyes for a minute. Take a deep breath in. And I want you to think about the gratitude that you have that you are not currently living in a pressure cooker. I want you to celebrate the fact that you are resilient, that you are here right now. I want you to feel into that celebration, because you would not be here right now. You would not be watching this if you were not resilient, if you were not able to bounce back from whatever you've experienced. And that gets to be your story, is how fucking strong you are. How you are able to turn this pressure-filled situation into, guess what? I don't want to offer this to anyone else. I want to be able to hold space for people gently and compassionately and patiently. I want to be able to help people who are in that situation to be able to see their way out of it, so that they can see this role that they have within this situation while they're in it and not just in retrospect. Be able to gain lessons before you've had a traumatic experience and have to clean up after yourself, right? Hi, Anne. Hi, Laura. Thank you for being here, guys. And thanks for saying hello. Okay? When we close our eyes, we get to really feel into where we feel that in our bodies, where you feel that celebration that you're not in that space right now. And if you are in that space right now, if you are in a situation where you feel like you're currently in the middle of a pressure cooker, what is your energy doing to create energetic waves within that environment? Because they are. Even if your energetic waves are all positivity, right? All of your energetic waves could be, oh my gosh, I'm fabulous and amazing. And it pisses people off. That might trigger people. But you are asserting change. You are assisting them with heightening their awareness around what is currently going on in their field. You're allowing people the opportunity to see it a little bit differently because of your presence. So how can you use that power? How can you use your energy? How can you show up as a very sovereign, yet spiritual, compassionate, loving being who stands for love, who stands for strong core values, and who has very clear boundaries about what you will and you will not accept. One of the things that I posted on Twitter the other day, I posted this quote, and it was, I'm going to try to remember the wording, but it was something like, embrace the feminine. I should look it up. Yeah, something like, let me look it up. It'll be easier. And if you guys want to follow me on Twitter, follow me on Twitter. I'm at Emerge Healing on Twitter. I just kind of randomly, I just allow myself to process on Twitter. It's so much fun. Here it is. Embrace the feminine, celebrate the softness, teach people how to treat you, communicate clear boundaries with love and compassion, right? That's the energy that we want to come from when we're looking at any situation that's occurred, present, future, or past, right? The feminine energy is, the goddess energy is all about that, that compassion, that love, that giving, shirt off their back for you, right? At the same time that they hold bold boundaries, know exactly what they stand for, know exactly what they're here for, and take inspired, intentional action steps toward that gain. And that's the energy that we want to embody when we're looking back at or are within these. Oh, thank you, love, for sharing the Twitter. What is that? Oh, that's interesting. My Reflections on Ho'oponopono. That's not the one I read, but that looks interesting. It's by Mabel Katz. Cool. At least I knew who the author is. Thank you. That's amazing. You're amazing, Cassidy. So yeah, like when we're looking back, we get to apply this same energy, right? We get to apply this energy of, I get to embrace my softness. I get to embrace the fact that I am a loving human, that I stand for collaboration, that I stand for connection, that I stand for the fact that we are all here to serve one another, even if some of the people who come to this life are here to piss us off and activate us. Okay? So you want to take that feminine energy of softness, yet clear boundaries, and apply it to these traumas in retrospect. Apply it to these experiences, this pressure cooker, this constant pressure, right? And you may find that in that situation, you need to then, once you leave it, be on the side of complete feminine flow, where you have absolutely no structure at all. And you're just like, I am going with the flow and doing whatever the hell I want to do, because you need that feeling of freedom. You need to feel and know that there is an opposite to that extreme tension and pressure that you felt you were in. And that's the other piece that I said at the beginning is, remember, part of this is your interpretation. One of the things that came through in this same journaling experience was the fact that we are all empaths, right? If you're an empath now, you were an empath when you were born. Oh, hi, Anne. No, I'm not doing messages today, Lovey. I'm not doing any readings. You know, like you were an empath where you were born, and you're an empath now. So that means that you've always been sensitive. It means you've taken on other people's energy. It means that before you had boundaries and you understood that you were an empath, other people's energy was affecting you. So how can you fully rely on your interpretation of what happened? It's best to take your higher self's interpretation of what happened. It's best to take God's perspective of what happened. Because then you're seeing it through the lens of the highest good. And how this was meant to be a stepping stone for you to move forward, right? Because when we interpret things as empaths, I experienced sexual abuse in my past. I experienced multiple other traumas. And I can tell you that now I can say, well, yeah, I did have that trauma and it did occur. But I also know that there were parts of my perspective that impacted how I remember things. That impacted how it impacted me, how deeply I internalized it. Because if I was like super bold and confident back then and like had my shit together and knew everything about energy that I know now, I would have been like, yeah, no, peace, bye. But instead, I was in a space where I was absorbing that energy, where I was taking it on, where I felt like I needed to save the people who were in the situation in addition to taking care of myself, right? So realize once an empath, always an empath, okay? And start to operate when you're looking back at your previous experiences from the perspective of, well, how would an empath react in that experience? How would an empath be impacted by what unfolded? How would an empath's energy add to whatever occurred in that situation? Not in a way that we're blaming ourselves, not in a way that we're blaming or saying anything's bad with empaths. What we're saying is, you are a powerful being. You have a part in everything that unfolds within your reality. And so what that means is, get an understanding of the previous lessons if you need to, and then choose to move forward and create your new reality. Hold space for yourself. Hold space for your nervous system in a way that was not existing when you were in this pattern of dysfunction. Okay? So let me know if you guys have any questions around this topic in particular, around living in a pressure cooker, or if you've had different scenarios or situations that have come forward that you think are a contradiction to what the Akasha is bringing through, because it's always so interesting to see how this presents differently in human form and how we can work with it in so many different ways, you know? Like on any particular topic, there's so many different ways to be able to gain wisdom from it, to be able to gain lessons and to look at it differently, right? And we learn more and more about this wisdom when we learn about how the Akashic records interact with each of our unique energetic blueprints. One of the most beautiful ways to do this is to enter your own Akashic records, to learn how to use your own Akashic records, to develop a relationship with them, because it's truly a relationship. Your loved ones, guides, angels, ascended masters, they are accessible to you and have a relationship with you all the time. But you can increase your intimacy with them. You can have a mutual, co-creative, collaborative conversation. Allow them to guide you, allow them to offer you clarity, and be able to take any situation that comes up in your life and trace it backwards, whether it's your ancestors, whether it's past lives, whether it's in this life. Trace it backwards, find the core, heal it, and while you do so, impact and heal the people around you and in your family line. The best way to do this is through my certification program. It's called Rise, the Next Level Certification Program. And it's funny because since I changed it to the Next Level Certification Program, the people who came in were definitely next level in terms of like just their intuition and how open they are to implement this work and to start their own businesses and to receive literally every single layer of healing you can access through this program. And you can do it all yourself. It's so beautiful. And you're so beautifully held and supported. Talk about a safe space for you to be able to transform old patterns. The Akashic Records is the safest place to do that. Absolutely. And I'll be holding space for you in group coaching calls during this program as well to help you move through whatever's naturally coming up for you, personally or professionally, that makes you feel like you're stuck or this is not for you moving forward and creating a new story. It's too daunting. Right? Trust me, I've been there. Joy, love the yeah, no, peace, bye. Yeah, no, peace, bye. So anyway, Cassidy, if you could just drop the link, there we go. She did it before I even said it. Thank you for reading my mind. You always do. I love you. And you guys can read about it. Read all about it on my website. Reach out to me if you have questions, and I'm happy to guide you. I can also direct you to other people who are currently in the program or who have done the program before. It's literally life-changing. Literally life-changing. I can count on one hand the number of people who have not cried at the end of this program saying, this has absolutely changed my life. They like to say it's me, but it's not me. It's themselves. It's their energy. It's their Akashic records. It's cultivating that relationship and having that direct line of communication to infinite intelligence. So let me know. There's only 2 spots left now. So if you're interested, I definitely encourage you to look into this ASAP because this is going to fill soon. And I would love to hold space for you to be able to join this and really excavate that next level of yourself and be able to bring him or her or them forward to be able to celebrate your majesty, your magic, and everything that you can create in this life. So I love you. Have a beautiful day. I will see you next Friday. Actually, I don't know if I will see you next Friday because it's Memorial Day weekend and I don't think I'm going to be here next Friday. But I will let you know. I will post about it either way. And if I miss you next Friday, I will see you the following week. But I may just change the time so that I can come live another time and hang out with you guys, because I really enjoy doing this together. So have a wonderful, wonderful weekend, and I will see you soon. Mwah. Bye.